because the guy in the green shirt is interrupting and it's terrible and it's annoying and all of those things. Yeah. Hey there, Radiance. I'm Sean.
And I'm Jonathan.
And today we are going to be talking about Mistborn Adaptation. Yay! As of the recording of this video, there is definitely Cosmere or Brandon Sanderson adaptation or adaptations in the works. Mm-hmm. We don't know very many details on.
He's been heavily hinting at
not
heavily.
Not even just hinting, but saying these but not really giving details, which is understandable for lots of reasons. One, because he's a jerk and likes to play with his fans, and also because I'm sure of being in talks and whatever else with whatever studios and all of those things. And so now is the time to start playing with some fan casting ideas. I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. Who doesn't love playing and thinking about some of your favorite or even least favorite, but you think would fit well in a role, actors and actresses, and playing with those ideas. It's just straight up fun. So that is the main point of this video. So we would love to know your fan cast. This video, we're talking specifically about Vin Valet Renew. As far as spoiler level in this video, it's going to be really pretty low. We're not going to talk about many specifics. We're going to kind of give some general overarching stuff. And so if you're like ultra unbelievably sensitive to spoilers and you haven't read all of Mistborn Era 1,
don't worry, we're not gonna spoil the ending for you.
Yeah.
Except this is what happened. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, unless you're super ultra worried, don't stress. You should be good to go. So if you're like a lot of people on the internet, as far as we can tell from kind of doing a little bit of browsing and looking, I'm surprised that it seems like there's less discussion of fan casting than I expected at this point. I'm sure that will only increase the more time goes by and the more discussion of adaptations we have. But if you're like a lot of people, your pick is probably somebody like Daphne Keane. That seems to be a very, very popular choice. I don't know how I feel about that. I actually, surprisingly enough, have never even seen Logan. And I've not seen her anything else. So I can't make an intelligent personal opinion about that. From what I hear, I think that would probably be a fine choice, and if that is your choice, that's great. You've at least seen Logan, right?
I have seen Logan, and I mean, there's not much to say about her in Logan. The characters doesn't have a whole lot, so it'd be hard to be able to say. And maybe there is enough for some of you to make that decision. For me, there's so many things especially making this video, we've thought about that. There's all these different specifics that Vin needs to have both in her physical attributes and her emotional or personality attributes. Right. And so I don't know that I know, even especially only seeing her in one film, I don't know if I know enough about her
to know whether she has that range. Yeah. So we were talking about different things. I'll talk about kind of the look of Vin in a minute. We really think that overall it's more important that whoever they cast for every role, it's more important that they can play the personality and the who they are and this sort of range. And so we kind of have compiled a list of some things that we think is absolutely vital for the actress who plays Vin to be able to portray on screen. So Jonathan's going to kind of go through those. Yeah. I may interrupt because the guy in the green shirt is interrupting and it's terrible and it's annoying and all of those things.
Yeah. Yes. So vulnerable is number one on the top of the list. Of course, this is not in any specific order, but then she also is a very insecure person in the beginning, insecure socialite. And she becomes a more confident person, definitely, towards the end. Yeah. She has a huge range of emotions, and some of that is probably due to, being emotionally abused by her mother and by her brother. And then everything that has taken her to get where she is, then plus all of what she goes through with all of the people around her in the gang
Kelsier's
gang. Yeah, can't even
Yeah.
think.
I'm pretty sure that they would take offense to that. A thieving crew.
The thieving crew. Yes. Yes. So then she has a huge, massive character arc from beginning to end. She's naive. She is always second guessing her actions. But she's a person of action. She doesn't like once she decides that she needs to do something, she doesn't. She doesn't like to read at the beginning, and then becomes a very intricate note taker and almost scholar-like person. Whether she really likes it or not is a different story altogether. But it's kind of a necessity thing. It's a person of action. She needs to do it because she's got to move on with what she's trying to accomplish.
Kill things and do things. So, like I said a minute ago, the look of a person cast in a role is important to a point. In Jonathan and I's opinion. We've kind of talked about this before with some of our Wheel of Time coverage and some of our other things. The character needs to look right within reason. And so there are a few things that I think are important about Ven's look, at least a minimum kind of look. She needs to be a young girl. She couldn't. We saw a couple of people on mycast.io and some other places. One or two people put Summer Glau as one of the people who 10-15 years ago would have been like a great choice. Like it would have been super perfect.
I also saw Nev Campbell on there. Who is like got to be 10 years our senior, probably, like in her 40s, late 40s, kind of thing. I'm thinking, but anyway,
and so Ven needs to be young and small, and so she of course has her brown hair and short hair, whatever else that can be done with wigs and colors and whatever else. So who the heck cares? That's not that big a deal at all.
And age could probably be done to an extent with that stuff, but we've also seen how well Princess Leia was done. And so
Sure.
I mean,
de-aging things.
Yeah, it can be done.
There's a range that
and we're getting
works.
there, but it's still a little janky sometimes.
There's a range. I think there's an age range that would work. Like as far as actresses, you would be hard to find a 16-year-old actress who would be able to have the range that. Not impossible. There's been some prodigy young actors and actresses, of course, but young. But you'd be there to even, I could see the right 30-year-old playing the role. I don't know who that person is, but the right person, they could make that work with makeup and things. So the age is important. The person, I think, absolutely has to be a tiny person. I think that's very important. I've said several times.
Small stature.
Yeah, exactly. They need to be
David versus Goliath.
Yes, exactly. And in my head, the perfect person doesn't exist unless they do. And if this person exists, let us know in the comments. But in my mind, the perfect person is a short Anne Hathaway.
She's not short.
No, she's not, and she's not remotely short. And she's probably too old. Although I think her age, I think she probably could pull off the youngerness. Yeah. But I'm not suggesting Anne Hathaway is a good choice, but. The look of a small Anne Hathaway,
very
especially
slight
thinking
of build.
about Les Miserables and other things like that. But anyway, those are important. But again, it's much less important than their ability to portray the character and portray this range of emotion and just the very complex and amazing character that Ven is. So we have a couple of sort of seems like less popular picks that we wanted to talk about. Jonathan has one and I have another, and then there's another one that we want to kind of discuss together. So who is your kind of, in fact, I think your pick, we haven't really seen anybody talking about it, so this may be a new thought for some.
She's kind of new on the scene, I think, but she's gained extreme popularity like a lot of these younger children's stars. I think she's 20-something. I didn't even look that up. But anyway, Millie Alcock, who plays in House of the Dragon. She plays in the first 5, 6 episodes. I can't remember. Yeah, first 5 episodes. And she is the young Princess Rhaenyra. And so she definitely looks the part, and she's a very slight person. She's small.
She's not the right hair color, but that's
not,
fixable.
Yeah, she's not the right hair color, but that's dyeable, right?
Yep.
And she does have a very big range in that character, being vulnerable and real with her best friend, all the way to being what's growing up to be a badass, or hopefully going to be a badass queen one day, and then anyway. So
spoilers.
Try not to do spoilers.
Yeah. Game of Thrones or any of that.
But anyway, there, and it was kind of like I said about the girl who was in Logan that we just talked about.
Oh yeah, Daphne King.
She has a very small role in a 2.5 hour movie. Millie Alcock's role is pretty large, like one of the main characters in 5 episodes, 5 hours. So we have a little bit more to go on, I think. And of course, it'd be, interesting to see, in the future what she does. But she matches, I think, the facial quality of what I imagine Vin to be. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's who I would say.
So the impetus for this video, that's the wrong. You grammar nerds, you can come at me in the comments. It's fine. But the origination for making this video was I was flipping through Instagram Reels or something, and I saw an ad for a show, and I'm holding it on because I think some people are really going to strongly disagree with this pick, and so I'm not wanting you to click off and comment before I say, but the movie was Enola Holmes 2. Which of course is the Netflix. Enola Holmes was the Netflix show starring Millie Bobby Brown, and so if you knew that, you know where I'm headed. Give me a chance to explain before you angry comment and leave. But I saw this trailer for Enola Holmes, and we've talked about Stranger Things before in the past, and I really enjoyed the first Enola Holmes, and I saw her in this sort of Victorian garb, and my mind went right away to Vin at the balls and playing that part, and I started to think about Millie Bobby Brown, especially early Stranger Things seasons, and her vulnerability and her weakness in there, and moving to. She's not done a lot of physicality acting as far, and so that kind of remains to be seen. But I as I've followed her career beginning in Stranger Things and kind of watched her, I think she's got a lot of depth as an actress, and I think she's young and inexperienced still, but has gained a lot over the last few years. And I think her look is the weakest part of picking Millie Bobby Brown. I don't know that she really looks like Vin. And I think some people might think that she's a little flippant, but I think that she has the ability to portray that range. And so I really like that idea. I think that could really work. And she's also hot commodity, up and coming with a lot of different things.
She was able to work with people like Winona Ryder on Stranger Things, someone who has a lot of history in film and TV and is able to pass down nuggets of gold to these children and help them in their career. So I agree with you. I think it's a great idea. I think she could do the part as far as the acting side of it.
I think that's the most important thing. So the last person we wanted to bring up that we saw on a few lists, that I think the more both of us think about it, the more we really kind of like this as a pick. Yep. And it seems like on like mycast.io and other places, it seems like she's gotten a lot of down votes, and I would be curious, for those of you who don't like that our picks or whatever else, would love to know what your thoughts are about that. And we love intelligent discussion in the comment section. Definitely. It's quite fun.
Definitely.
And so our last person that we want to talk about that is kind of a off pick is Maisie Williams. Most of you, if you know who Maisie Williams is, you'd know her from Game of Thrones. I have said repeatedly that I've not watched Game of Thrones or read it. And so
maybe we'll change that one day.
Who knows? Maybe. I definitely will read it before I watch it if that ever happens. But I do really like Maisie Williams because I was able to watch her in Doctor Who. And she plays, for those of you who are not Doctor Who nerds like me, Jonathan's not. Maybe we'll change that eventually as well.
Hey, I'll watch Doctor Who when you watch Game of Thrones.
Well, that's easier than the last one of those I did. Because the last time I made some sort of deal like that was I told somebody, yeah, if you'll watch Back to the Future and Princess Bride, I'll watch Friends. So I think this is a better.
Holy crap!
I think this is a better deal, I suppose. Yeah. But anyway,
yeah, I might have gotten the raw end of that deal. Maybe I'll say like the latest two Doctor Who's, because there's what, like,
you gotta
17 of them.
Well, you gotta start. No, you gotta start with the modern era at least.
Okay.
I mean, that's,
okay.
You don't have to go back and watch the 1960s and whatever else.
Right.
But
I'm okay with that.
Anyway, Maisie Williams plays in Doctor Who. She plays Madam Me, and there's not a lot of physicality to her role, which I'm glad you people and him have seen her in Game of Thrones, because that hits a lot of the physicality that Vin is going to have to portray, that the actress is going to have to play for Vin. In Doctor Who, she definitely has a range. It's a smaller part, but she starts with this scared little village girl, not quite as vulnerable as a Vin, but and moves to this super confident kind of. I won't spoil things, but she's quite a strong entity by the end of the show, and so from my views in there, I think that she could really portray this. From most people's perspective, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so she starts out, she's very young. I should have looked it up, but very young when she starts Game of Thrones as Arya Stark, and she does play a little bit vulnerable. She's always kind of been a tomboy, and she's always pretty strong-willed.
Which that kind of fits, Vin.
That fits, yeah. And she grows into a character that stands on her own. Whether or not we go to the end and talk about spoiler of who she kills or anything like that, there's a giant range of her character arc. I feel is actually a pretty good one in the show. She goes off with the Faceless Men, does some acrobatic training, figuring out how to sword fight. She has her sword teacher actually in I can't remember what his name was, in King's Landing, before she goes with the Faceless Men and all that stuff. So there's all kinds of fighting
mumbo jumbo
style type things that she gets trained in, and she as an actress does a really good job of that. And I think she has worked with some really great actors and actresses in Game of Thrones as well, I'm sure, in Doctor Who. And so I think
definitely some high caliber.
Yes, some high caliber people. And I think the more that those kids, I say that loose term, she's in her 20s now, but those kids get around that high caliber of actor, I think they just soak it in, just like any of us do when we're at work and we have somebody who we're like, oh man, you've been doing this for 20 years. You glean a lot off of that. So yeah, that's where we're at with, I think all of those three choices are great. What are your choices? Who are your choices for Vin? We already asked that. And what do you agree or disagree with our choices of the Millies and the Maisies? Millies and Maisies. Yeah. So hope you enjoyed this video, and give it a like, thumbs up, comment. If you give it a thumbs down, tell us why. All those kind of things. Subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye-bye.